My name is Helen, and this is about the day my son raised his hand to me and how I made sure he never forgot what happened next. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. This story is for every mother who's sacrificed everything, only to be taken for granted. And to my loyal listeners, thank you for being here. You give me strength. Now, let me take you back to 3 months ago, to the moment everything changed forever. I became a single mother when my son, Derek, was only 3 years old. His father left us with nothing but debt and broken promises. Just walked out one Tuesday morning and never came back. No child support, no phone calls, nothing. I was 26 years old with a toddler, 2 jobs, and a studio apartment that cost more than I could afford. But I made it work, because that's what mothers do. I worked as a receptionist during the day and cleaned office buildings at night. Derek would sleep on a blanket in the corner while I vacuumed and emptied trash cans. When he got older, he'd do his homework under the fluorescent lights while I scrubbed toilets. "Mom, why do you have to work so much?" he'd ask. "Because I'm building us a better life, baby," I'd tell him. "One day you'll go to college. You'll have opportunities one never had. You'll be something great." I believed it with every fiber of my being. I went without so Derek could have. Skipped meals so he could eat. Wore the same 3 outfits for years so he could have new clothes for school. Took the bus so we could keep the car for emergencies. When Derek was 12, I finally got a better job, administrative assistant at a law firm. Better hours, better pay. We moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. Things were looking up. Derek was a bright kid. Smart, athletic, popular. He made honor roll every semester. Played basketball. Had friends. I was so proud of him. But somewhere around age 16, things started to change. He became distant, entitled, started talking back. "Mom, none of my friends' parents make them do chores," he'd complain when I asked him to wash dishes. "Well, I'm not your friend's parents. In this house, we all contribute." "This house," he'd scoff. "You mean this tiny apartment?" It stung. But I told myself it was just teenage rebellion. He'd grow out of it. He didn't. When Derek turned 18 and started college, community college, because that's what we could afford, the entitlement got worse. "Why can't I go to state university like everyone else?" he demanded. "Because we can't afford it, Derek. Community college for 2 years, then we'll figure out a transfer." "You mean you can't afford it? If you'd gotten a better job, if you'd done more with your life, I could have the same opportunities as my friends." I remember standing in our kitchen, feeling like I'd been slapped. "Derek, I've worked myself to the bone for you. Everything I've done has been for you." "Yeah, and look where that got us," he muttered, walking away. I cried that night, but I told myself he was just stressed about school, about growing up, about being a man. I made excuses for him because he was my son, my baby, the boy I'd sacrificed everything for. Then came the pandemic. Derek lost his part-time job at the campus bookstore, moved back home, and the verbal abuse escalated to a level I'd never experienced. "You're smothering me, Mom. You're so controlling. No wonder Dad left." You probably drove him away too. Each word was a knife, but I endured it. Because he was my son. Because I loved him. Because surely this was temporary. I kept working, kept paying the bills, kept cooking his meals and doing his laundry while he played video games in his room and complained about how unfair life was. Then, 2 months ago, I made a decision that changed everything. I got accepted into a night program to finish my bachelor's degree, something I'd always dreamed of but never had time for. When I told Derek, I expected him to be happy for me. Proud, even. Instead, he was furious. "Are you serious? You're going back to school at your age." I'm 48, Derek, not dead. And yes, I'm going back. I want to finish what I started. What about me? Who's going to cook dinner? Do the shopping? I stared at him. Derek, you're 21 years old. You can cook your own dinner. This is so selfish, Mom. You're always putting yourself first. I actually laughed, a bitter, exhausted laugh. Putting myself first? Derek, I've put you first every single day for 21 years. I think I've earned the right to do something for myself. He stormed off, slamming his bedroom door so hard the pictures on the wall shook. Things deteriorated rapidly after that. Derek started coming home late, sometimes drunk. He'd leave messes everywhere and refuse to clean up. He'd eat the groceries I bought for the week in a single day, then complain there was nothing to eat. When I confronted him, he'd explode. You're not my boss. I'm an adult. Stop treating me like a child. Maybe if you'd been a better mother, I wouldn't be such a disappointment. That last one broke something inside me. But still I endured. Still I hoped he'd change. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I had an exam the next day for my accounting class. I came home from work exhausted. I'd been on my feet for 9 hours, then rushed to campus for a 3-hour class. All I wanted was to study for a bit and go to sleep. But the apartment was a disaster. Derek had apparently had friends over. Empty beer bottles everywhere. Pizza boxes on the couch. The kitchen was destroyed, dirty dishes piled in the sink, food spilled on the counter, trash overflowing. I found Derek in his room, playing video games with his headset on. I knocked. No response. Knocked again. He ripped off his headset. What? Derek, the apartment is a mess. Your friends left trash everywhere. I'll clean it later. No, you'll clean it now. I have an exam tomorrow and I need to study. He turned back to his game. I said I'll do it later. Something in me snapped. 21 years of exhaustion, sacrifice, and being taken for granted came flooding out. I walked over and turned off his TV. Hey, I was in the middle of a game, and I'm in the middle of trying to keep a roof over our heads. Clean. Up. Now. He stood up, towering over me. When had he gotten so tall? You don't get to tell me what to do anymore. As long as you live in MY apartment, eating MY food, using MY electricity, I absolutely get to tell you what to do. Your apartment? He laughed cruelly. Mom, you rent a 2-bedroom in a crappy building. You're not exactly living large. Then maybe you should get your own place. With what money? You won't even co-sign a loan for me to transfer to a real university. Because we can't afford it, Derek. We've been over this. Right, because you've made such great financial decisions. Working yourself to death at a mediocre job. Living in this dump, going back to school like some kind of desperate middle-aged woman trying to relive her youth. Stop it. And now you want to control every aspect of my life because you have no control over your own. I said stop. Pathetic excuse for a life. You're a failure, Mom. Accept it. The words hit me like physical blows. My son, the boy I'd sacrificed everything for, was calling me a failure. Get out, I whispered. What? Get out of my apartment. Now. Are you kidding me? Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Call one of the friends who trashed my living room. But you're not staying here tonight. That's when it happened. Derek shoved me. Hard. I stumbled backward, barely catching myself on the doorframe. Don't you ever, I started. And then he slapped me. The sound echoed in the small room. My cheek burned. My ear rang. For a moment, we both just stood there, frozen. I touched my face, feeling it throb under my fingers. My son had hit me. My baby boy had raised his hand to his mother. Derek's face showed a flash of something. Regret? Fear, but then it hardened. Maybe if you'd listened the first time, he said coldly. I turned and walked to my bedroom, locked the door, and sat on my bed in the dark, shaking. I didn't cry. I was beyond tears. I just sat there, feeling the sting on my cheek, and something inside me calcified into steel. Derek knocked on my door around 2 a.m. Mom? Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I was just angry. Mom, I didn't answer. Eventually, he went to bed, and I planned. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my computer and I researched tenant rights, eviction procedures, domestic violence resources, legal aid services. By the time the sun came up, I had a plan. First, I went to the clinic and had my face photographed. The bruise was already forming, a purple shadow across my cheekbone. The doctor documented everything, gave me resources, asked if I wanted to press charges. Not yet, I said, but I want it on record. Next, I called my landlord. Mrs. Chun, I need to ask you something. My son isn't on the lease, correct? No, just you. Why? Because I'm going to need him to move out. Can you tell me the legal process? She was quiet for a moment. Helen, is everything okay? It will be. Then I called my sister, Margaret. Margaret and I had never been close. She'd married rich, lived in the suburbs, always looked down on my struggles. But she was family and I needed to know something. Margaret, remember when you told me I was too easy on Derek? That I was raising him to be entitled? Yes, she said carefully. You got very angry with me. You were right, and I need your help. I heard the surprise in her voice. What do you need? Over the next week, I executed my plan with surgical precision. I contacted Derek's community college and requested a transcript of his grades. What I found made me sick. He'd been failing for 2 semesters. The tuition I'd been paying, the money I'd scraped together from overtime and loans, he'd been wasting it, skipping classes, not turning in assignments. He was on academic probation and hadn't told me. I contacted the financial aid office and discovered Derek had taken out student loans in MY name. Loans I'd never authorized, with forged signatures. $15,000 in debt I didn't know about. My hands shook as I filed a fraud report with the police. Next, I went through his room while he was out. I know, invasion of privacy. But after what he'd done, I was past caring about his boundaries. I found marijuana. Not just a little, enough to suggest he was selling. I found stolen property. A laptop that I recognized from our neighbor's apartment. Jewelry I'd never seen before. And I found messages on his computer. Messages to his friends. My mom's such a pushover. I told her I needed money for books, and she gave me $300. Spend it all at the club, LOL. She's going back to school now. It's hilarious. Like she's going to do anything with her life at her age. Honestly, I can't wait to get out of here. She's so clingy and desperate. Makes me sick. I read every word. Every cruel joke, every mocking comment about the woman who'd sacrificed everything for him. And I felt nothing. The part of me that could be hurt by him had died when his hand hit my face. Now there was only justice. I made copies of everything, organized it into folders, built my case like the lawyers I worked for had taught me. Then I made one more call. To Derek's father. It took me 3 days to track down Richard. He was living 2 states away, remarried with 2 young kids. Helen. He sounded shocked. Why are you calling? I need you to do something for your son. My son? I haven't seen Derek in 18 years. I know, and I never asked you for anything. Not child support, not help, nothing. I raised him alone. But now I need you to step up. What's wrong? Derek hit me, Richard. Your son put his hands on me. Silence. And he's failing out of school, racking up debt in my name, possibly dealing drugs, and treating me like I'm his personal servant. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to call him. You're going to offer to let him move in with you. And you're going to give him one chance to get his life together. Helen, I can't just... Yes, you can. Because if you don't, I'm pressing charges against him for assault and fraud. He'll have a criminal record. And I'll make sure he knows you could have helped him, but chose not to. Another long silence. I'll call him, Richard finally said. The final piece of my plan involves something I'd been avoiding for years. Therapy. I made an appointment with a counselor who specialized in family trauma. I told her everything. The years of sacrifice, the verbal abuse, the physical assault. Helen, she said gently, you've been enabling him, protecting him from consequences. He's never had to face the reality of his actions because you've always cushioned his fall. I know that now. What you're planning, is it about revenge or justice? I thought about that. Both. But mostly it's about teaching him a lesson I should have taught him years ago. Actions have consequences. She nodded. Then you need to be prepared. He's going to be angry. He's going to try to manipulate you. He might even try to hurt you again. I'm prepared. And I was. The morning I chose was exactly 2 weeks after Derek hit me. I woke up early and made his favorite breakfast. Pancakes, bacon, eggs, fresh squeezed orange juice. The works. Derek stumbled out of his room around 10 a.m., surprised to see the spread. What's all this? I wanted to make you a nice breakfast, I said with a smile. Sit down. He looked suspicious, but sat. He'd been walking on eggshells around me since that night, probably afraid I'd kick him out. We'd barely spoken. Mom, look about what happened. Eat first. We'll talk after. He ate. God, did he eat? Like he always did, without thought or gratitude. Just shoveling food into his mouth like it was his right. I sat across from him, sipping coffee, watching. When he was done, he pushed his plate away and looked at me expectantly. So, are we good? No, Derek. We're not good. I pulled out a folder. The folder. Everything I'd compiled over the past 2 weeks. What's that? This is documentation of your assault on me. I showed him the medical photos. His face went pale. This is proof of the student loans you took out in my name with forged signatures. That's fraud, Derek. A felony. Mom, I can explain. This is your transcript showing you've been failing out of school while I paid thousands in tuition. This is evidence of marijuana found in your room. Enough to suggest intent to distribute. And this, I showed him the screenshots of his messages, is what you really think of me. He stood up. You went through my stuff? You had no right. Sit down. Something in my voice made him obey. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. You have 2 choices. Choice 1. I press charges for assault and fraud. You'll be arrested. You'll have a criminal record. Your life, as you know it, will be over before it really begins. You wouldn't. Try me. After reading those messages, after you put your hands on me, you'd be amazed what I'm capable of. He looked at me like he'd never seen me before. Choice 2. Your father has agreed to let you move in with him. You'll live there, follow his rules, get a job, and pay him rent. You'll also pay me back every penny of those fraudulent loans. We'll set up a payment plan. You'll enroll in community college, wherever he lives, and you'll actually attend. And you'll go to therapy. Dad? You talk to Dad. Yes. Turns out even a deadbeat father can step up when his son becomes abusive. Derek's face flushed with shame and anger. This is insane. You're trying to control my life. No, Derek. I'm giving you consequences. For the first time in your life, you're facing actual consequences for your actions. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the morning sun. I gave you everything, Derek. Every opportunity, every advantage I could scrape together. I worked myself to exhaustion, went without so you could have, sacrificed my own dreams so you could pursue yours. I turned back to him, and you threw it in my face, called me a failure, called me worthless, put your hands on me in anger. Tears were running down his face now. Mom, I'm sorry. I was just angry. You're always angry, Derek. And you know why? Because I never taught you gratitude. I never taught you that life isn't about what's handed to you, but what you do with what you're given. I failed you by making things too easy. I sat back down. So now you choose criminal charges or a fresh start with actual accountability. You have until this time tomorrow to decide. If you choose your father, you leave in 3 days. If you refuse both options, I call the police. You're really going to kick out your own son? No. I'm going to let my adult son face the consequences of putting his hands on his mother. Derek sat there, stunned. What happened to you? You did, Derek. When you hit me, you killed the part of me that would sacrifice everything for you no matter what. You killed your free ride. Now you have to earn my respect back. And you have to earn your own future. He stood up, knocking his chair over. This is crazy. You're my mother. You're supposed to love me unconditionally. I do love you. That's why I'm doing this. Because if I don't stop you now, you'll end up in prison or worse. This is the last gift I can give you. Consequences when you're still young enough to change. He stormed to his room. I heard him on the phone, crying, calling friends, calling his father. I cleaned up the breakfast dishes and got ready for work. That evening, Richard called me. He called me. He's a mess. What did you tell him? That you're right. That I abandoned him once and I owe him this chance. He'll move in with me next week. I'll make sure he follows through. Thank you. Helen, I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better. And so did he. Yes, I said. We both did. 3 days later, Derek packed his belongings into Richard's car. He couldn't look at me. Derek, I said at the door. He turned, his eyes red and swollen. I love you. I always will. But I like myself too much now to let you treat me this way. When you're ready to be a man I can be proud of, I'll be here. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, then just nodded and left. I watched the car drive away, and then I closed the door on that chapter of my life. The first week alone was hard. The apartment felt empty. I'd catch myself making too much food or listening for Derek's footsteps. But then something shifted. I rearranged the furniture, turned his room into a home office for my studies, bought myself fresh flowers, something I'd never done because it seemed frivolous. I focused on school. Without the stress of Derek's chaos, my grades soared. I aced my accounting exam, made the dean's list. At work, I got promoted. The lawyers I worked for had noticed my dedication, my attention to detail. They offered me a paralegal position with better pay and benefits. I started therapy regularly, worked through years of guilt, of feeling like I hadn't done enough, of taking responsibility for Derek's choices. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, my therapist said, even if that person is your child. Slowly, I rebuilt my life. This time for me. Margaret called every week to check on me. I'm proud of you, she said. I know that wasn't easy. Hardest thing I've ever done, but necessary. Yeah, it was. 6 weeks after Derek left, Richard called. I wanted to give you an update. Derek got a job at a warehouse. He's paying rent on time. He enrolled in classes for next semester. How's his attitude? Better. Not perfect. He still has moments where he blames you, blames me, blames the world. But therapy is helping. And living with consequences is teaching him things we should have taught him years ago. Has he asked about me? A pause. Every day. But he knows he needs to earn the right to talk to you. That's part of his therapy. Understanding that reconciliation requires changed behavior, not just apologies. 3 months after Derek left, I received a letter. Dear Mom, I don't know if you'll read this. I wouldn't blame you if you threw it away. I've been in therapy 3 times a week. Dad makes me go. At first, I hated it. Thought it was stupid. But my therapist asked me to write down everything I'd said to you over the past few years. Mom, I made myself sick reading those words. The cruelty, the disrespect, the entitlement. I don't know how you put up with it for so long. My therapist says I was using you as a punching bag for all my frustration with life. That I blamed you for things that weren't your fault, like dad leaving, like us not having money, like my own failures. I took everything you did for me and turned it into something to resent you for. The worst part? When I hit you, I saw the look in your eyes. You weren't angry or even scared. You were just done. Like I'd finally broken something that couldn't be fixed. I hate myself for that. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing to tell you that I'm trying to be better. I'm working. I'm going to school. I'm actually going to class. I'm paying dad rent. I'm paying back the loan money. More than that, I'm trying to understand the man I was becoming. And I'm trying to become someone different. Someone you might be proud of someday. I miss you. But I know I need to earn the right to have you in my life again. I'm sorry, Mom, for everything. Love, Derek. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a folder. Not to forget, I'd never forget, but to mark the beginning of something new. I didn't respond right away. He needed to sit with his actions, needed to prove through time and behavior that he'd actually changed. But I kept the letter. 6 months after Derek left, we had our first phone call. It was awkward, stilted. He told me about his job, his classes, his therapy. I told him about my promotion, my own graduation coming up, the trip to Italy I was planning for myself. Italy? Mom, that's amazing. I decided I've earned a vacation. 25 years of working. I think I deserve 2 weeks in Tuscany. You deserve more than that. It was the first genuinely unselfish thing he'd said to me in years. We talked for an hour. When we hung up, I cried. Not from sadness, but from relief. My son was still in there. The good boy I'd raised. He'd just gotten lost for a while. But he was finding his way back. And this time, he was doing it himself. That was 6 months ago. Derek and I talk once a week now. He's still living with Richard, still working, still going to therapy. He's been accepted to a 4-year university for next fall, and he's paying for it himself through work, loans in his name, and scholarships. He's becoming a man I can respect. We're not fully healed. The relationship we had is gone. But we're building something new. Something based on mutual respect instead of my unconditional sacrifice. Last month, Derek asked if he could visit for Thanksgiving. Only if you want me to, he said carefully. I don't want to intrude on your life. You can visit, I told him, but you'll help cook, clean up, and I expect you to be respectful. Of course, Mom. Thank you. As for me, I'm thriving. I graduated with my bachelor's degree last spring. Top of my class. I'm considering graduate school now, maybe law school. The lawyers I work for have been encouraging me. I took that trip to Italy, spent 2 weeks exploring, eating amazing food, and discovering who I am outside of being Derek's mother. I'm dating someone, a kind man I met in one of my classes. He treats me with respect, makes me laugh, doesn't take me for granted. I'm 49 years old, and I'm finally living for myself. That morning after Derek hit me, when I served him breakfast and justice, people might think I was cruel, heartless. How could a mother do that to her son? But here's what I learned. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the consequences of their actions. Sometimes love means saying no more. I didn't destroy my son that day. I saved him. I saved him from becoming a man who thought he could treat women with violence and disrespect. I saved him from a future of entitlement and failure. And I saved myself from a lifetime of being his doormat. Do I regret it? Not for a second. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Because mothers aren't meant to be martyrs. We're meant to raise good humans. And sometimes that means tough love, real consequences, actual accountability. Derek will be here for Thanksgiving. We'll cook together, talk, maybe even laugh. But he'll also wash his own dishes, do his own laundry, and treat me with the respect I've finally learned to demand. Because I'm not just Derek's mother anymore. I'm Helen, a college graduate, a paralegal, a woman with dreams and boundaries and self-respect. And that's a woman I'm proud to be. Thank you for listening to my story, dear friends. If you're a mother who's given everything and been taken for granted, if someone you love has crossed a line, if you're wondering whether you have the right to demand respect, let me tell you, you do. Love shouldn't mean accepting abuse. Motherhood shouldn't mean martyrdom. And forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or accepting unacceptable behavior. You deserve respect. You deserve boundaries. You deserve to be valued. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is serve justice alongside breakfast. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to Voices of Zara, and share your thoughts below. Until next time, remember, you can love someone and still refuse to be their victim. Stay strong, set boundaries, and never apologize for demanding respect.